Good morning again. This is Nick Petro from the National Weather Service in Raleigh with the weekly impact weather briefing covering the period today through August 20th through next Sunday. And this weather briefing, of course, addresses weather for central North Carolina and associated hazardous weather impacts. All right, so getting right into the main story I think probably most people are interested in is what about Tropical Storm Gert? And you can see in the lower right there, a latest satellite loop, and you can see Gert kind of spinning away there east of Florida and northeast of the Bahamas, and you see that line of clouds just off the coast of the Carolinas. That is an old weakening frontal system, and that's going to be obviously a player. And the overall expectation is that Gert's going to you can see in the upper left there the forecast track of Gert staying well east of the East Coast. So very little, obviously no impacts on central North Carolina, and very little, if any, impacts on the coast. Obviously, as always, anytime there's a tropical system out there in the Atlantic, we have to watch for distant swells coming in and increased rip currents, but that's about it. Gert's expected to stay a storm and then maybe briefly become a hurricane well out at sea. So again, not a concern for us here in central North Carolina. What about the overall weather pattern and how it's going to impact our sensible weather here as we head through the week and associated potential weather hazards? There's that boundary I kind of was speaking of in the upper left, and really weakening boundary just basically becoming a weak pressure trough that stays along or east of I-95 right through pretty much the week. The next real notable weather system, frontal system, will be a cold front approaching come late in the week and over the weekend. But with this pattern here that you see on this screen, it's very kind of persistent, kind of stagnant. We're gonna see pretty similar weather from day to day as we head through the week. As that boundary continues to weaken, we'll probably see that high pressure to our south build, and that should in turn help to warm things up a little bit over our area as we head through each day of the week. Things getting a little warmer each day. Through the work week, that is, and pretty much a daily chance for scattered, showers and thunderstorms most of the time during the afternoon and evening. And I think the biggest weather hazard and weather risk this week will be, possible flooding. There's going to be a lot of humidity around. So anytime the thunderstorm builds, it's going to bring a heavy downpour. So localized, low-lying spots that see repetitive or slow-moving thunderstorms and downpours could run the risk for some localized poor drainage flooding. So I think that's going to be the main hazard this week. Not every place is going to see that type of heavy downpours, but I'm just saying if you do see repetitive or slow-moving downpours, then you'll run that risk. Otherwise, that front will make an approach over the weekend, and that'll probably even increase the chance for showers and thunderstorms this weekend. So, unfortunately. So looking at the severe thunderstorm potential, I say, as I always say during these briefings, this time of year in the summertime when it's hot and humid, you can never rule out an isolated severe thunderstorm. But according to the Severe Thunderstorm Storm Prediction Center and Severe Thunderstorm Potential, we're not expecting any organized or widespread severe weather. So just a general thunderstorm is what's shown here in these graphics for the next 3 days. In terms of how much rainfall can we expect, these maps here would suggest, closer to that boundary, closer to that stalled trough, will be the areas that have the best chance to see rain and showers and thunderstorms. But I think scattered showers and thunderstorms will be possible anywhere across the state, and you can see the rainfall amounts there. So the highest, when you add it up over the course of the 7 days, the highest and heaviest rainfall amounts should generally be across the eastern half of the state, with lesser amounts across the western half of the state. All right, so beyond Gert, anything else in the tropics you might be wondering? There is a little tropical wave there out in the central Atlantic, just off the west coast of Africa there, and the Hurricane Center will be keeping an eye on that, showing the 40 to 60% chance of range development over the course of the next 5 days. We'll be keeping an eye on that, but obviously, that's any system out there now is a long ways away. What about looking ahead to next week? Next week, the pattern would suggest odds favoring above normal temperatures and above normal precipitation. That's just a statistical slight edge towards that, but certainly not a guarantee when we're looking that far in advance. So let's wrap this briefing up here. GERT's expected to remain well to the east of the East Coast. No impacts for us here in Central North Carolina. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are basically in the forecast nearly every day this week. Again, not a washout, but just, the typical daytime, favoring the daytime and evening shower and thunderstorm activity. Temperatures will generally be near seasonable with a gradual warming trend during the second half of the work week. You see the forecast there at the bottom. You'll notice temperatures in the mid to upper 80s today, Tuesday, and Wednesday, with high temperatures hitting around 90 Thursday and Friday. Perhaps maybe a slight decrease in the amount of shower and thunderstorm coverage for Thursday and Friday. In fact, if we were to have a dry day this week, it would probably be Thursday. But other than that, scattered, or at least a chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms each day. The primary weather hazard for Central North Carolina this week will be the risk for localized flooding of poor drainage areas and low-lying streets and areas, and that's basically where repetitive or slow-moving thunderstorms occur. So we're not expecting widespread flooding, but we're basically, localized brief flooding for areas that get hit over and over again or slow-moving. And you might be wondering, well, what about next Monday? Because a week from today, we'll be getting ready for to experience the solar eclipse. So what about the weather for next Monday for the eclipse? And the pattern that should be in place at that time doesn't support clear skies, but it doesn't support overcast conditions either. So look for a typical late August sky, which is basically partly cloudy. So the sun will be visible at times, other times, passing clouds will block it, but certainly not an overcast or washout type conditions, and certainly not a clear sky condition either. So I guess if we can see the sun at all, we'll take it, right? So anyway, that's the briefing for Central North Carolina for this week.